I am live. Hello, this is Jennie Walker, and welcome to my channel, Jennie Girl's Closet. I am live on a Sunday evening on the West Coast in Pasadena, California, from my showroom, where you can see behind me a beautiful vintage Moschino jacket. That's one of the many pieces that I have in my archive that I rent and sell to stylists who are looking to pretty much dress up artists, young actresses, and other people of note who want to look sharp. Now, this is for anyone who wants to look sharp. You don't have to be in the entertainment industry, but yeah, I mean, look at this thing. Yeah, I'll show you a little. I'll tilt it down a little bit, and you can see all the cool colors on it. Yeah, pretty excited to have that. It's part of the. I have about 300 pieces of Moschino, so that's one of the key jackets that I have. So there you go. So today I wanted to talk to you about how to show restraint when sourcing at the Goodwill for eBay and Poshmark. And the reason I wanted to talk to you about this is today I actually showed restraint. Now, this is unlike me. If you know anything about me, and y'all don't, of course, know me at all, but we're working on that. I have been a lifelong shopper. Shopaholic is the positive way to talk about it. There are more negative terms that we won't use, but I am a shopaholic. I love to shop, love to source, and the fact that I can now work full-time reselling and then with my consignment shop, basically being around clothes all the time makes me very, very happy. And what I find is that a lot of times I just enjoy the hunt. I enjoy looking. I enjoy sourcing so much that I'm going to source regardless of whether or not I need anything. Because in my line of work, you always are on the lookout for something unusual and unique. And as a result, there's never a time you wouldn't potentially find something that you could use for a client or for reselling. So, you always have an excuse basically to buy something. But that doesn't mean you should. And I, like everyone else, have a ton of inventory that is not yet listed. There are reasons for that. The reasons are, it isn't so much of a death pile that people like to call it, but I have a lot of inventory that is in my showroom that isn't listed anywhere. You need to actually come into the showroom in order to have access to it. So I have some of that. There are pieces of inventory that I am busy trying to purge, meaning I'm trying to find the right outlet to get rid of them outside of selling them on eBay or Poshmark. Perhaps I'll be trading them in somewhere for something else. Just trying. I have lots of piles of things that have different meaning. I'm trying to move away from vintage, but not all vintage. I'm trying to move away from basically, what is that? Oh my gosh. I'm trying to move away from, look at this, vintage that's not super special. And super special is a relative term, but there's vintage and there's vintage. I mean, there's vintage as in it's a designer like a Christian Dior or a Galliano or a Pucci or a Missoni. Then there's vintage that, your grandmother made that's super cool, but has no label. There's no provenance. There's, no brand to associate it with. So to me, I'm moving away from any vintage that's not considered or could be considered archival. And what I mean by that, archival is there are designers that have these collections that, over time, it always happens later. It's always something that people decide is really valuable after the fact. So, for example, when Tom Ford was with Gucci and YSL, his designs were flying off the shelves. When that all ended, there was a bunch of Tom Ford for Gucci and YSL laying around. But at that point, it wasn't very valuable. Nobody was really interested. But these days, if you can find Tom Ford for Gucci or Tom Ford for Yves Saint Laurent, you've really got something, because people are just now starting to collect and archive the key pieces. And when I say key pieces, those are the ones that were on the runway. Those are the ones that made the full page ad in Vogue. They're the ones that get all the advertising and the print. So that's one way they become key pieces and archival pieces for a designer. So today I did a donation at Out of the Closet for our consignment shop because we donate things that people don't want back to the consignment shops. I was there and I'm looking around because I always do. And I went all the way around the store and I had like 6 things in my hand. And I'm like, do I really need this? So I put back something and then I put back something else. And then at the end I had 3 things and I put back something else. And finally in the end I had 1 piece. And I said, you know what? I'm putting everything back and I'm getting the 1 great piece from Out of the Closet because I really don't need any more marginal things. Like I have just a ton of what I'd call marginal items, by items that just sell through very quickly. I don't need any more of those. I got plenty of those. But what I need are really key pieces where I can make a significant amount of money. So I found 1 key piece. That's all I bought today at Out of the Closet. And I'm going to show it to you. Well, just hold on 1 second. So this brand is very popular. They right now, and this is by the famous Rachel Zoe. If you know who Rachel Zoe is, she is a stylist. She's probably one of the most well-known stylists right now here in 2019. She had her own TV show. I don't know if she still does, but this is basically a Swiss dot maxi dress. And this thing is like ginormous. Like it's super long. It's longer. It's like extra long. I mean, this is for someone who's super tall. But the way it's constructed, where there's no seams in the shoulders, it's got an elastic waistband. Like this is gonna fit like, I don't know, 10 different sizes. And then like the really cute ruffles on the bottom. But anyway, what's new with tags? Now I have actually owned this dress before for resale, but or one very like it's basically the same cut but different fabric. And when I sold that dress before, I think I got like $275 for it, but I knew this was a $500 dress. So on the back, it just says, size 12. Anyway, so I went online and researched the dress, and its original retail is $550 for Rachel Zoe Swiss dot silk dress, which is what this is. And so I looked around and I thought, yep, that's what I thought. Now what I paid was 15% off of $18, so it was I think $16.50 or $16.25 is what I paid for this dress, and it's gonna sell for over $200. Hey, Key Lime Kisses! No, I just got started. Welcome. So I was just showing. I'll show you this Rachel Zoe new with tags dress that I bought for 15% off of $18, so $16.50, $16.25, brand new maxi dress. Look how long this thing is. It's got it's silk, got elastic waist, ruffle sleeves, and metallic thread in it. It's perfect for nighttime. So I'll probably sell this over $200. I'm gonna ask. The last one I had like this, I sold on eBay because I was not on Poshmark at the time. Yeah, it is absolutely gorgeous. Like, let me try to stand up. Look at this thing. That's how long it is. There's just a whole lot of fabric going on. So this is already up in my Poshmark closet at $3.95. And I did not have Poshmark the last time I had a dress like this. And I sold it on eBay about, I think, $250 or $275, but it was a different color combination. But yeah, so when you think about paying $16 for a $550 retail gown or dress, maxi dress, I mean, traditional retail doesn't pay $16. I mean, there's a formula and they get big bulk discounts, but the average person who buys wholesale, and I'm not talking about a big department store, the average person who buys wholesale is going to pay $50 for a $100 item, right? So in theory, I'd be paying $225 for a $550 item. So the fact that I would pay $16, I mean, nobody pays $16. So like there's no formula in traditional retail to buy $550 items at those price points, unless perhaps there are things I don't know about how you source it for outlets or discount places like, you know, a TJ Maxx or Marshalls. I don't know how they get their inventory, or the old Lomans, which was, I'm so sad they left, but the old Lomans was a great example. I mean, they'd have all these great pieces that were from former seasons, and they'd get it in. And I don't know what they paid for all this, but I think they got a big bulk discount. But anyway, so Key Lime Kisses, my chat today is about restraint. And so I had like 5 or 6 things in my hand. I had an Everlast really cool dress, and I put back. I had a frying pan, yes, for myself, that I put back. I had a jacket from H&M I put back. I had a faux leather purse with skulls on it I put back. And yeah, oh, Key Lime Kisses. Yeah, this is Moschino, vintage Moschino back there. So yeah, that's one of from my collection. I'm glad you could appreciate it. So anyway, I put back everything and got the one good thing. So I was telling the guy who I know him very well at Out of the Closet, and I said, I'm so proud of myself. I put everything back and got one good dress. He goes, well, you're showing restraint today. And I thought that was an awesome word, because I was showing restraint. And so I was so proud of myself that I went to then the Goodwill. And so I went to the Goodwill today, and I had like 5 things in my hand. I had a Roger Vivier pair of pumps. I had a Pendleton wool skirt. I had a polo kids skirt that was plaid. I had something called Coffee Shop black faux suede bomber, and a Banana Republic black suede purse with studs on it. And so I was sitting there looking at all of this and asking myself, which ones was I going to keep, or which ones was I going to put back? Now, Key Lime Kisses, did you happen to see my Instagram on that? Hey, Perlis Precious, thank you for joining. So anyway, I had all these things, and in that moment, I was researching the Vivier shoes, and it appears that they were fake. And the reason I knew that is I have a pair of Vivier shoes in my consignment shop, and I was able to access my software and look at the photos while I was in the Goodwill. And so I could tell that a real Vivier shoe always has a leather sole. And these, while they had all the same language, the quality of the shoe was off. There was buckling on the satin, and the sole was man-made. And so I knew they were fake. And so I left them behind, and it was very, very hard to do that, because, I mean, I was sad. I mean, I was just sad that that they weren't real. So I'm going to see if I can show you, because I took a picture of the things I left behind on my phone. So I'm going to show you on my phone what I didn't buy. Can you see that? So we have the Pendleton skirt that's red, the Banana Republic suede bag with silver studs. The green and black skirt is a kid's skirt by Polo. Then the black, oh, here's the Vivier pumps. The black jacket is from Nordstrom. And then, so out of all of that, I put all of it back. I didn't buy one thing. And that's because they wanted $20 for this bag. It's Banana Republic, and I can't make any money on that. The shoes turned out to be inauthentic. They were fake Viviers. The skirt, I was tempted, but I didn't buy it because Pendleton isn't really who my girl is. So it would have just been one more thing that I'm trying to move away from anyway. The kids skirt I really wanted because it was green and black. But the problem is that I don't have much luck selling kids clothes. And so I didn't want to spend another $6 buying a kid's skirt that I may not be able to move. And the only thing I was really tempted for was the faux suede jacket, but the most anyone was asking for it at Nordstrom outlet was $40. So I left it because I wanted $10. So I left everything behind. and so between, having in my hand maybe 12 different pieces today between two sourcing places, I left with the one good dress. And so I showed some restraint, and I was really excited because when I'm in there, I want to buy something. I want to find something. And so, because the pricing is usually not going to be the factor, you have to show self-restraint about what you're going to buy and really ask yourself hard questions. I am terrible at this, but I'm getting better and better. So let's see, Pearl is Precious. Yeah, the puckered Pearl is Precious. I saw the storyline video you post on. Must be the same one you post on Instagram. Yeah, that is the same one. Of what was I going to buy? And in the end, I bought nothing. Nothing. I left it all behind. And I just have the one beautiful dress that I showed earlier. Now, Pearl is Precious. You didn't see my $16 fine. It's a $550 Rachel Zoe maxi dress with metallic thread with Swiss dots all on it. It's just amazing. And so I just bought the one thing today. And I think one of the hardest things to do is to show restraint when you're sourcing, and to kind of ask yourself, does this item fit in with my aesthetic, with what I'm building in my closet? Am I just buying it just because it's here? Is it really special? And I find that my challenge is to be more and more selective when I go into the Goodwill and show restraint. And because everyone's looking for something different, and what's going to catch my eye is not going to catch someone else's eye. So there's usually it's almost never that I go into the Goodwill and I don't see at least one thing that I think I could sell. Rachel Zoe, I didn't hear you say that was her line. Looks just like something she was wearing. Yeah, Rachel Zoe, absolutely. So let me show you something that I bought for my Moschino. I have a vintage Moschino collection, and then I'm adding new pieces to it. So this is something that I got that is just ridiculously cool. So this is a strapless dress. It's plaid. Got these leather buckles. The back is like plain. And then let me show you this. This is the label. So this is before Jeremy Scott, Moschino Chic and Chic. This is not the 80s, 90s tag. This is more like 2000s tag. And I don't know exactly what year, but this dress is unbelievable. And it's something you can wear over a tank top, over a long sleeve white shirt, or just by itself. And this plaid, this particular green, blue, and red plaid is one that the Moschino brand uses over and over again. And they'll do it in different fabrications, whether it's wool or wool crepe, wool gabardine, wool knit. So yeah, I was so excited. So I mean, this is I paid like $100 and something for this dress. I don't remember how much it is. I don't know if it was $145, $150, but it will sell for probably, $600-700 to the right person, maybe more. It's 100% wool in Maine, Italy. So the challenge for me is I source at every end of the spectrum. I'm sourcing very expensive, high-end pieces, archival pieces, but I'm also sourcing these very low-end pieces that are the ones that turn very quickly for me, that keep my cash flowing, that keep me with operational funds so that I can keep doing what I do. And the customer that's going to buy this red plaid dress is not the same customer who's going to buy the other pieces that I have. This is probably someone who's going to come into my showroom and see me personally. It could sell online on an eBay or a First Dibs, but most of my Moschino collection is not up anywhere. And the ones I've been listing recently are ones that have problems, which means sometimes when you buy vintage, it has a flaw that you don't know about or you're not aware of. And my goal is to have as much new with tags, dead stock, never worn, pristine pieces as I can. And then as I find those, I purge some of the older ones that have a little something wrong with them to keep it really pristine in the showroom. I don't know if this is the same one Neiman's had, but and I'll tell you why. Because right now Moschino, uh, they mostly sell online. But before that, they did sell in Bergdorf, Neiman's, Saks. But the brand has really changed a lot and moved online. And so, if you were to search Moschino right now, you mostly would find the Moschino online store, and maybe you'd find a few pieces at a Neiman's. But I looked the other night, and because there's a new Moschino collection out right now, and I thought, well, where can I find it other than their own store? And I just couldn't find it anywhere. So I don't know why that is. I have no clue what's going on behind there. But the fact that a major department store that carries luxury brands might not carry the Moschino line anymore seems like strange to me. But things are moving and changing, and everyone's going online. Could be part of that. Why did they start going for the online only? I don't know. A lot of these brands, have a tough time staying relevant. They go through changes of designers. They go through changes of management. They're making money. They're not making money. I just, to me, if you're not in stores, that means the line may not have been something that a store thought they could sell. So why wouldn't the store think they could sell it? Maybe the design was off and didn't fit who their customer is. If you look at the stuff that Jeremy Scott for Moschino is creating, this is not for anyone regular. I mean, it's like got cartoons and like McDonald's and like cartoons and clowns, and like I love it personally, but regular people with a regular job have nowhere to wear something like that. And so you're limited to people who have a lifestyle that could allow them to wear these over the top clothes and it makes sense. And so I think that the company is so in such an interesting creative place that they've really narrowed the person who's going to buy their stuff. It's so narrow now that I don't think many people can buy it. It is fun and edgy, absolutely. When I was younger and I was first in the workplace, the local Saks Fifth Avenue carried Moschino. And I can remember owning some pieces of it when I was much younger, mind you, off the clearance rack, because it's really expensive. I mean, back in the late 80s, early 90s, it was $500 for a jacket, which was like $1 million. I mean, it was just so expensive. So I did own Moschino when I was much younger, but I was a person who bought it on sale, fresh phone case. Yeah, I mean, it's fun, but that's all it is. Like, it's very trendy. That's the word, trendy. Let's just get right to it. It's super trendy. It's so trendy right now that it limits who can buy the brand. And so it's so trendy that a more conservative retail store like a Neiman Marcus or Bergdorf Goodman is probably going to say to themselves, I don't have a customer who can buy this. That customer is so trendy, they're not in my store. And I don't really, even Barney's New York is not all that trendy. To me, they're more, they're trendy, but not in the same way. They're trendy as in who are the latest Japanese designers kind of trendy, like Comme des Garçons. They're not trendy as in Moschino trendy. I mean, you go into a Barney's New York, you've got Lanvin, you've got Chloe, you've got all these really high, like Alexander McQueen. You have the really higher end designers, and I don't think I've ever seen Moschino in a Barney's New York. And I'm really not surprised as I reflect on it, because That's really not who their customer is. Their customer is more sophisticated than that. And so they tend not to have the super trendy. I mean, there's nothing more trendy than a Windex phone case, right? Because not only is the phone case going to get out of date real quick because the phone sizes are going to change. I mean, it's a Windex bottle. I mean, come on. I mean, who's going to carry this? It's a particular girl at a particular age at a particular time in her life, and that's it. And the current trend of the brand is something that I don't really understand it because it's a lot of licensing. It's like all licensing and no design. And because I study the brand and I have all the books, I can tell you exactly where some of this they've basically the designer that's there now has really brought to the modern day a lot of the things they've already done. Is basically recycling the past, like this circus collection they just did or clown collection. If you go into their books, that there's two really main books out on them, you'll see they've had this similar thing. You'll see similar color palettes. You'll see that there's nothing new under the sun. That everything has been recycled. Even the use of branding. There was some branding by Moschino, but it was more design than branding. And I mean licensing when I say branding. And this time it's like all licensing. It's like a Barbie. They had to pay the rights to get the Barbie and to pay the rights to use the McDonald's and pay the rights for the Powerpuff or Powder Puff Girls or whatever this is. That's a lot of extra money that's going into the cost of a garment because of all those licensing fees that they're doing. And to me, who can wear this stuff? Nothing but the entertainment industry, I can guarantee that. Or people who have a lifestyle where they can go wear something crazy like this, or do a video or do a photo shoot. It's really, really a narrow market. And that is why I believe they're not being carried by some of these department stores. And when they are being carried, it's being limited to sunglasses or the most conservative pieces that they have to offer. So like if you go to Neiman Marcus right now and you see what Moschino pieces are up there, it's sunglasses rather, and like 10 pieces of the most conservative looks that Moschino could have. And their looks are so conservative, it really wouldn't matter who the brand is. Yeah, I mean, the people who are wearing this stuff are, they're all musicians and entertainers. Katy Perry wears it. Madonna has worn it. You know, it's they're trying to appeal to youthful people by putting it on these celebrities. But unfortunately, celebrities are the only ones, that make sense wearing it. Can you imagine me going out to the corporate CEO to a Chamber of Commerce meeting in my suit with the McDonald's on it? I mean, come on. That would not make sense. But this dress I just showed you, the red plaid one, is totally wearable. This is a different year, a different designer at the helm. You can wear this for a long time. This can be worn right now. It can be worn 5 years from now, 10 years from now. That is a much more classic style than, say, the McDonald's that's coming out. So anyway, back to restraint. So I think it's really important when sourcing is to continue to restrain yourself. I keep telling myself I want to get to the point where every piece of inventory that I own is online on multiple platforms, is in my inventory list, is perfectly coded, and every picture is correct. I keep telling myself that. And yet I continue to buy new things and continue to bring in inventory. And it's something that everyone, I think, I wouldn't say everyone, but I say a lot of people enjoy the sourcing aspect the best because it's the most fun. I mean, who doesn't want an excuse to buy something, So now the key is to really get serious about getting it all organized and up and for sale. And one of the things I'm trying to determine now is where I'm going to put all my Moschino collection. And I don't know if I'm going to do first dibs or if I'm going to do like a Shopify. I really haven't decided because it's so special and it's so expensive that it takes a special customer. And when I put things like a dress on Moschino for $1,000, I get so much criticism by people for that. And the one thing about Poshmark that is really, really incredible is that people will say things that you can't imagine that they're going to say to you. So on some of my listings, people have said, I saw that dress for, $400 on eBay. And like, it'll be something I have listed for $1,500 or something. And they'll put all these little snippy little comments on there. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, they'll go so far as to say, did you get that at the Goodwill? Or, you shouldn't be asking that much for something. And so some of these people are really critical when you put something too good on Poshmark. And even though there are plenty of people on Poshmark that are looking for special pieces, I know because I've sold them, and will pay $1,000 or more. I know because I've sold those pieces. Because it is not, I'm not gonna say it's not meant for that, but because that is a much smaller group, I don't know if it makes sense to put my collection up there, because I'm just opening myself up to some unneeded criticism of people who are not the target for what this is anyway. This is something that a stylist buys. This is something that a celebrity, is going to wear. This is something that they don't even have to be celebrities. I mean, I work with plenty of people who aren't celebrities that have the resources to buy something this special, because, part of the challenge in retail is there's nothing all that unique anymore. And the middle ground has really left of retail. And so in order to get something interesting, you have to go vintage. Posh needs to go international already. That's the people who don't mind. Absolutely true, Key Lime Kisses. I cannot wait until they go to Canada, and I'm hoping it's Canada to US and not just Canada to Canada, because if it's not Canada to US, that's going to be really disappointing. But if it is Canada to US, we all need to have our closets absolutely jam-packed and full of inventory, because the minute they hit go on that, we're all going to see a giant spike. And we need to be ready for it. But yeah, I don't know whether to put my collection on Tradesy or Visteri Collective or First Dibs or eBay, or just not listed at all. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. But for now, to get these pieces, you absolutely have to come into my showroom. But ultimately, I do want to sell them, and I have to really figure if I want to deal with the criticism on Poshmark that I am bound to get, because I get it all the time, or just avoid that platform for those particular things. Yeah, there's plenty of money all around the world, and there are plenty of budgets that will allow people to buy things. I don't have the capacity right now or the willingness to pay a lot for a garment, because my money is going into building 2 businesses. And so it doesn't make sense for me to go out and spend $1,000 on a dress when I can spend $1,000 investing in something for my business. And as much as I want to spend $1,000 on a dress, and I have in the past, right now I'm just in a different phase. And so I feel like that would not be the right use of my money. And yet there are plenty of people who have the capacity to go out and buy these things at these prices. So yeah. It's all about restraint. It's all about not buying things that you don't need, not buying things that don't fit into your aesthetic, not buying things that don't fit into your overall brand. And with Jennie Girl's Closet, I'm still weeding out inventory that isn't right for the store. And I don't want to just take it all down because I'd like to sell through it. But I have been giving big discounts to things that I just don't want to carry anymore. And really trying to force a new look and new identity into the closet. One moment. So, yeah. So sourcing at Goodwill bins, having restraint there is really, really challenging. That is, and that is really hard because I do not need to bring anything else into my showroom. I am jam packed, and I would be, y'all are not going to get to see what it really looks like. My entire second bedroom, where I should have guests stay, is completely filled with rolling racks and shipping station and all the inventory that's listed and not listed. So, yeah, I do not need to bring anything else in. Yet, when I go to the Goodwill bins, no matter what I throw into the cart, I've never spent over $50. And it's like, it's just hard. And I feel like either I just shouldn't go at all, or somehow try to find some sort of criteria that I put to the things out there, that if they don't fit a certain number of criteria, that I don't buy them, because it won't be about price. Key lime kisses. She likes bargain t-shirts. I love fashion. Would love to have been an earlier design team years ago. Not down. You know what? It's not too late. It's not too late. I'm working on a capsule collection with my Jennie Girl brand. I'm working on so many things, and I am not young. I'm a grown woman, and I got a lot of years behind me, although it may not seem that way. But I promise you, I'm that girl who always looked 15 years younger than she really was, and that's me. So, just add 15 years, however old you think I am, and and that's kind of where I am in life. But yeah, I think sourcing at the Goodwill bins, I have an opportunity to go tomorrow, and I don't know if I'm going to go. I think the ultimate restraint is to not even walk in the door. And I think it's much easier to have restraint when you don't enter the door, right? Don't walk in, because no matter when you go, you have an opportunity to find something. And so to say to yourself, I might be missing out on something if I don't go in. Well, that's true every single day of your life. You're always going to have an opportunity to miss out on something by not going in. And I think the only real restraint is to not walk in the door. So for me, tomorrow I have an opportunity to go to the Goodwill bins. So I either have to say I'm going to bring one $20 bill and that's it, or I don't go at all. And I haven't decided what it's going to be. That's right, key lime kisses. Close enough to not want to talk about it. Yeah, I'm not ashamed of it by any means. It's just I don't want to talk about it, because the last person I told how old I was literally fell off a chair. And they're like, "What?" They're like, "No way." And I'm like, "Do I need to show you my driver's license?" And I did. I had to show them my driver's license, and they were like, "What?" So yeah, it's just one of those things. I know, it's crazy. So yeah, restraint is about really being focused on what you're trying to achieve in your closet and who you're trying to attract to shop there. And my Poshmark store is very different than eBay. I mean, I have things on eBay that are just, not attractive at all, that I would never buy again, that I just want to get rid of. But in my Poshmark closet, I pretty much have the cute stuff and the good stuff, but I still have things in there that really don't match the overall aesthetic of who my girl is right now. And so I'm still toying with the idea of taking it all down and deleting it. But that would mean I've limited the potential sale. And so I would just rather rather kind of leave it there and sell through, even though it messes up my closet a little bit. But it's a work in progress. And so I can't expect everything to change immediately. So like this jacket back here, this Moschino jacket is the kind of thing that I want to have in my closet all the time. Some of the things I sold today, for example, I sold a vintage Moschino jacket today, and it's one that I was happy to get rid of because it had damage on it. It had beautiful, beautiful coat, black and white wool coat with red velvet collar. But each of the red velvet buttons had come untethered to whatever it is that they were glued to become buttons. And each one had been hand sewn on, and they were basically damaged. And so I was just happy to just get rid of it. And I put the damage on there, and I was very, very excited to sell it because I sold it for $50 because it's not anything that I would buy again in terms of the style, as cute as it is. Because now with my Moschino, when I take it in, I'm looking for the signature vintage pieces, the runway pieces, the pieces that they have in their books, the archival pieces, and I no longer want anything that isn't super, super, super special or super, super excellent condition. And so I have, I don't know, I probably have 10 garments that do not fit the standards, my new standards, my new standards that I'm trying to get rid of that are Moschino. And I just wouldn't buy them again, basically. I have not put anything on Etsy. And I think it's a great idea to put it on Etsy. I've certainly bought things that were vintage Moschino on Etsy. I know that it's global. I know they ship all over. The only reason I haven't put anything anywhere is not only deciding on the platform, but you see how this mannequin has no arms back here? And what's stopping me, because whenever I don't finish something, I start something roadblocked me, right? And so I don't have a mannequin with arms in my showroom. And in order to fully show the amazing beauty of these pieces, you got to have some arms in there. And short of me going into my consignment shop and picking a weekend or a night and hauling things in a bit of a time and shooting it there, or spending $300 to buy one and bring it into my showroom, I'm a little hampered with the actual production of shooting the photos in the way I really want to do them. Especially a site like First Dibs, where they expect these garments on a full mannequin. And if you look at anything on First Dibs, they've whitewashed the first picture of everything, and you can always tell like the arms are like the arms are like sticking out or something. And you know that it's something that's been whitewashed and that the garment has been put on a mannequin with arms. So I really feel like it doesn't do the items justice if I don't take the time to work that out. And also I know that my lighting is not perfect, as you can tell from this video. So I don't have my lighting sorted yet in order to take those pictures either. So I know most people would say, do it anyway. But I am that person who always gets blocked by making it perfect instead of just doing it. And this is another great example of that, of all the reasons why I haven't done it yet. So, but that's why. But I think Etsy is absolutely an appropriate place to put vintage Moschino. But I'm trying to think of something even more wonderful, which is why I'm kind of leaning toward First Dibs. I have not fully researched their scheme and how much they charge in order to sell, but that is on my list. Model on a budget. Absolutely. My favorite success story is the founder of Nasty Gal, and she was excellent at getting people to model her clothes. Girl Boss or whatever that is. I love her story. I just love her story. To me, she's more inspiring than anyone. And with my Jennie Girls Closet, I'm trying to be more of like what she has done in growing her business than anyone else that I see out there, because it's more. What she's doing is more in line with what I'm doing in terms of sourcing and sourcing high-end vintage. As a matter of fact, before Nasty Gal went out, I was on their email list, and I still have a copy of an email that I got from them where they had all this vintage, like Chanel and Moschino, and just this crazy cool vintage, very expensive. And I remember thinking, is that really how much she's pricing it? And so I saved it and I printed it out. I mean, she'd have $2,000 on a Chanel belt without batting an eye. I mean, her stuff was super, super. It was like the highest amount possible for what it was. And I thought that was so interesting because that's how she started, with this really high-end vintage, and then she expanded into her own brand and having her own private label clothing. And so her story is the closest to actually what I want to do. If you don't know who Girl Boss is, you need to hold on. I'm going to find that for you right now. Her name is Sophia Amoroso. And I'm going to educate you right now. Amoroso. I'm going to find her Wikipedia. This girl is amazing. Now, her story went a little wonky. And this is her Wikipedia. I'm going to put it in here. She's got, there is a Netflix series called Girl Boss. You should check out. You know, the problem with this series is that as a reseller, I really wanted them to talk more about what she talked about in the book and show us how she built her empire. Unfortunately, because the producers were trying to appeal to very young girls, they try to make it more of a relationship series where it's more about her being a young girl and her sexuality and living her life, whatever, than it was about reselling. So for someone like me, I was really disappointed that they didn't get more into it, because that's what I would have liked. But the series did not continue past one season, but it's still worth watching. And if you just sort of weed out and filter out all the stuff about young girl angst and focus on what she did to create her empire, it is really, really worth watching. Yeah, she's got a book called Girl Boss, and I have read that book 3 times now, and I have it on my iPhone, and I like to be reminded of her story. And if you don't know her story, she basically was a little bit of a wild child, I'll guess you'll call it, and wasn't able to keep her jobs, and really was kind of lost when she was in her 20s, kind of lost and didn't know what to do with herself. And she ended up getting a hernia and needed surgery. So she took a job as like someone at a security desk or checking IDs at a school or something. And she did that job long enough to qualify for insurance so she could have her surgery, and then she quit the job. But what she did all during this time was she was starting to sell on eBay, and she started out by selling one book she found or stole, I forgot. And then it goes through how she built from one eBay sale and built her following by tapping into the MySpace generation, by having young girls model her clothes for free, just like you've asked about, how she built up this huge vintage empire, and then was eventually kicked off of eBay. And when she was kicked off of eBay by other vintage resellers complaining about her, at that point she was making a couple of $1 million in sales on eBay, one girl. And then she got kicked out off of eBay, and then created her own website, nastygal.com, and then launched her own online business outside of eBay, and then was able to build it from there into, I don't know, 3-4 million. And then some investors came along and said, hey, let us invest in your company and we'll take you global. But instead of her going global, everything went pear-shaped, as they like to say in England. And she not only lost her company, she lost her job, and it all went south. But minus that part, is the most fascinating story in the world because she makes you feel like you can do that too. She's very relatable. But she makes, she basically said, I didn't fit in anywhere. I didn't fit in corporate America. I didn't fit in, she didn't really get along well with other people. And so this very solo work of being a hunter for vintage and flipping it really satisfied a lot of things in her that other things couldn't. And she mastered it. And there's something in her book where she talks about how um, she basically never, something to the fact like she didn't take her money and blow it or spend it. She would only like reinvest in inventory. It just left her money in the bank, so to speak. And she said she she finally like bought something really, really expensive and paid cash, like for a car or cash for a condo or something really crazy. Like she never wasted her money and never spent her money on anything. She just kept it in there and let it grow and grow and grow. Like she said at one point she had over $1 million in the bank. And for someone who started as one girl selling one used book on eBay, building it up to this point with vintage, and then eventually getting a warehouse and having staff work with her, it's incredible. Um, to me, it's even more inspiring than Linda's stuff. And Linda's stuff is the woman, Linda Lightman, who has that big eBay store, who does so well. And she started selling video games that were her son's online. And then she started selling for other people. And then she was selling out of her house. And then she got a warehouse, and the rest is history. But the difference between Linda Lightman's success and Nasty Gal is that Linda Lightman didn't try to have her own brand. Linda Lightman didn't stick to sourcing vintage or anything for herself. She was selling other people's things. And she wasn't looking to build a brand like that, a fashion brand. So that's why the Nasty Gal story is more in line with what I'm trying to do with Jennie Girl, because I've been building my brand in a similar manner. Oh, she's awesome. Now, she is busy trying to reinvent herself, and now she has Girl Boss Media. And what she does is she now has a whole program. I know because I'm on her email list about helping young women entrepreneurs kind of find their voice and build their careers. And her whole thing is that because she's not this slick, sophisticated girl at all, the way she communicates and relates to people is she is very grounded, and she uses language that no one else would use. Like if you look at some of her newsletters, she's like, "Hey girl, reality check on where all that money goes from your paycheck," stuff like that. And it'll be about how and why to invest for your future or retirement. And so she tries to use language that young women will relate to talk about serious subjects. Okay, sorry. I'm so sorry. I got distracted because something horrible just popped up on my phone. Um, okay, recommended for me by Twitter. Really? Okay, that's weird. I have to delete that. So the pluses and minuses of building your social media following. Suddenly, weird stuff starts to happen. I'm starting to get weird emails now. Okay. I'm waiting for my first troll. I guess then I will have accomplished something. We'll have reached the next level when that happens. So anyway, yeah, Sophia Amoroso, definitely check her out. She's done all kinds of TED Talks. She's all over YouTube. Like there's a million interviews with her on YouTube. She's just all over. So if you get a chance to check her out, she's young, she's relatable. She's made a million mistakes and is happy to share what she's learned. And I think it's really, to me, refreshing because I can listen to people like myself, other resellers, all the time, but it's a very different perspective than someone who built a business. And so often with reselling, you don't know what someone's intentions are. Are they just happy selling a few things? Or are they really trying to build a business? And that takes a level of focus, a level of maturity, it just takes certain qualities that to break out of, just being a typical reseller working out of your house to how do you scale it? How do you make this a bigger business? And how do you take it to the next level? And that is something that I'm always asking myself, because I am, with my styling and reselling business, I am literally out of my home. But with my consignment shop, I am literally have a storefront on a street with people. So I have both sides of it. And we talk about how to scale the consignment shop. And then I think about how to scale this. And so I'm always questioning how to scale what I'm doing to the next level and keep it manageable. But what I've learned is you can't scale unless you do something differently. And we can't scale unless we put more resources into something, right? Because things in motion stay in motion at the same level, right? So, so I think for Sophia Amoroso, she is someone who scaled what she was doing as a reseller and took it to such a high level that is incredibly inspiring. She got to the point where she couldn't even walk in her apartment, like she was tripping over stuff. And finally, she's like, I gotta get a warehouse. And that was the beginning of her building her business, was getting that warehouse, and everything really fell into place. Yeah, yeah, definitely check her out. You will not. I don't think you'll be upset by anything you learn. I think she's an intriguing young woman, and someone that she's a role model. Absolutely. I mean, how could she not be a role model when she built some? I think before Nasty Gal went under, they were like at 5 million in revenue, something like that. She was on the cover of like all these like business magazines, and Forbes may have profiled her. I mean, she was really up and coming, and that's how venture capital money found her, is because she was doing so well, and people were recognizing that. So yeah, I know that there's a scene in the Netflix series where Sophia Amoroso pays $6 for a vintage leather jacket that she puts on auction. This is back when eBay was all auctions. Okay, eBay's changed, but and she sold it for 600 and something. And they show some things in the series where she is struggling herself with building relationships. Like, she was asking herself the same question: how do I get more of the good stuff? And so they portray a scene, and whether they say this is loosely based on her story, okay? So we don't know if it's 100% accurate, but it makes sense. She built a relationship with the local thrift shop, and she would pay them money for the opportunity to see what came in before anyone else. And that was one of the ways she was able to find incredible vintage. She went to estate sales, which is, pretty common thing to do, but they showed her going to estate sales. They showed her trying to figure out which sales made the most sense to go to by like the obituaries and things she would read about the people. But I loved the part where she paid the guy $20 to see the new donations in the thrift shop. I just thought that was brilliant. So yeah, so that's everything. Wow, has it been 58 minutes again? Man, I just cannot keep talking like this. So yeah, so I've been over about showing restraint when you're when you're sourcing for resale. And we've talked a lot about Sophia Amoroso, but definitely check her out. Check her out all over the internet when you're done with this video. And I think you'll be really inspired. And definitely read her book. And what I found is that the book is a much better read than the series is to view. And you'll learn more from the book. So definitely check that out. And that's it. So it's a Sunday night, and I'm going to sign off. And I thank you all for watching Jennie Girl's Closet on my channel. Again, I'm just getting started. My intention is to go live every day, even for a little bit, although it's been an hour, so I can get this channel rolling and figure out what it is people want to learn or interested in learning from me. I have a slightly different perspective because I do co-own a luxury consignment shop with a brick and mortar store that also has an eBay store. And we are also on Poshmark and starting to be on a third platform, StockX. And then I myself, when I'm not in that store, run my styling business and resell on Poshmark and eBay, and soon to be on StockX as well. And perhaps Etsy, like Key Lime Kiss has decided when I figure out where to put my Moschino. And that's it. Have a great weekend, rest of your weekend. Thank you for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. And if you like what you heard, please give it a thumbs up. If you've not subscribed, please do. And if you want to be notified when I go live, please hit the bell icon. If you have any comments, please leave them below because that helps the analytics or something. And that's it. And thank you so much for your time tonight. And Key Lime Kisses, enjoy the rest of your evening and whoever else is watching. And until the next time, happy reselling. Bye.